Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Come on, come on. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, folks. Welcome, my friends. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hello, guys. Happy Friday. Welcome to Live Mixing. What's going on, folks? Not everyone all at once. Welcome to the show. Hello, guys. Welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to Live Mixing. Every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern. It sounds like my mic's speaking. 1 second. Mic check, mic check. How's that? Happy Friday. Mic check, mic check. Hello, hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. We sounding good now? Happy Friday, guys. Welcome to the show. Every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern. For those who aren't aware, the live mixing time has changed to 12 p.m. Okay, we're doing the show early, lot earlier these days. Okay, it's just better this way for me. All right, so today we're gonna go over some stuff. I want to go over some Facebook posts from the group. We'll talk about that in a second. This is going to be an integral part of live mixing is the Facebook group. So make sure you're signed up for the Facebook group. Let me put it in the chat here. Facebook. This is our little community over there. If you're watching the replay, it'll be in the description. We'll go over some of that. We're going to do some mixing, of course. We're going to make some stuff. What are we going to make? I don't know. I haven't decided yet, okay? We'll figure that out when the time comes. I want to go over some popular e-liquids to clone. Okay, because that's going to be a new segment that we're going to be doing. Not on this show, it's just going to be a video. But I'm not really sure which ones to cover, so I think doing it as a group would be fun. And I want to, and I think that's it. I think that's all we're going to go over today. So, first, the coil building stuff is going to be very shortly. We're going to be doing a test stream of that. Just so I can set up how to place the camera and how to set up the desk. So it's a little bit of an involved process, but we're gonna have a little setup. Because the way I was going to do it initially was just have it how I have how I do the e-liquid thing. You know, when I have the camera point down at that. But then I tested it out and it doesn't quite work that way. The cameras are kind of different. So I want to set up like a separate rig just for coil stuff. Mainly because the bottles are a lot bit like when it's easy to point a camera at this. It's a lot tougher to point a camera at a tiny little fucking what is it called wire. That's something I didn't really think about. I just assumed it was just going to be the same, but it's not. It's a very different thing. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to set that up. Normally, what people do is they actually use their phones, which actually won't be it wouldn't be a problem if I had the right lens for the phone. So that's something I might have to look up getting. But they have like macro lenses for phones that actually do a pretty good job. The problem would be live streaming that to the show because I want to do it live. So if that doesn't work, we're gonna have to figure it out with the actual camera rig, which is gonna be a lot more difficult than I expected it to be. But I want like a nice shot of the wire. Like I want you to actually see the types of wraps that I'm doing. I don't want you to just see me. The way that it was basically, it basically looks like this shot, and you would just see like a thin little thing and me holding a thing, and that doesn't really help anyone. That's not cool enough. It's not cool enough. That kind of defeats the purpose of me doing this. I want you to like see the wraps and see the mistakes that I make, see me undoing. You know what I mean? I want you to like actually see that stuff. So we have to figure out a good way to get that shot. That also to set it up in a way where on the fly, like we're gonna be because we're gonna be doing that, and then we're gonna be going into mixing. So it's a lot more involved than I expected. So we just have to figure that out. Did you miss the good news? No. Okay, so here's the good news, guys. Some good news here. All right. Excuse me. We do have some crazy news here. Overhead cam. Yeah, overhead cam would be cool, but I mean, we could do an overhead cam, but it would just mean that this whole setup would be insane. Because I have an overhead mic. I have a light fixture right here. There's going to be the coil stuff here, right? Like all the coil stuff. And then I'm going to have an actual camera rig over top. It's going to look crazy. I'm not opposed to doing that, but the people are going to come into my room and be like, you're using like 1/4 of the city's power just in this fucking room. In order to get a good shot of if you're right, you may need a camera guy or gal. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'll be able to do it with the right shot. I think we can get it with the right shot. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit difficult in terms of like, because it's only going to take a portion of the wire, but I think I can get it close enough where you can see most of it, and then like, yeah, I think we'd be able to do it. I know what you mean though, yeah. Did he use a magnifier over his camera lens? Well, he probably uses like a macro lens. I mean, phones are really good with macro stuff, so they have like macro lenses for phones, but that's not. I don't know how that's gonna work live. That's the problem. You can shoot a video on your phone like that and it'll look great. That's how most of the guys have done it. But doing it live, like live streaming that footage, I don't know if anyone's done that. We'll figure it out though. Alright, so here's some crazy news. I'm gonna tell you now. Kate, I'm telling him now. Yeah, I'm telling him. Oh, I'm telling him. Oh, I'm telling him. All right, guys, you ready for this? Oh! Look at that. We got a little Trump in there. Looks like a little Trump. There we go, guys. This has been the news that I was going to tell you guys last week, but I wanted to wait a week, okay? I wanted to wait a week. But there you are. Okay? We got a second on the way. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, this probably be our last. I think we're dead set on just having 2 here. We don't know the sex. We don't know what the sex of the baby is. When are we gonna find that out, Kate? We should know any day now. Any day we should have that information. I don't think we're gonna do a big shindig with a reveal. Your second one is just kind of like, let's just get the baby here. Let's get this done as quickly as possible. Yeah. There we go. There we go, baby. Second one on the way. What this also means is that this whole setup is going to be changing. Okay? Because this is no longer going to be my room. We're going to be changing this. So you're going to see that in the future, which will be fun. Maybe I'll stream it. I mean, I'm going to be able to clear out all this stuff. I mean, some of this stuff is just, it needs to be cleared out. It's been years since I've actually gone through and cleared anything out. So when we actually do like our big move to the other office, it's going to be nice. It's going to be interesting to see. There's also going to be a lot more space down there too. So that's going to be kind of cool. The problem about where we're moving is going to be so fucking cold. And I'm so nervous about that. But yeah, so we're having our second child. I'll keep you guys updated on that journey. That's going to be fun. You guys were here for the first. You'll be here for the second. Our lives are recorded. How about that, huh? How about that? You guys have been here when I moved through 3 different houses. 4 different houses. You've been here for my wedding. You've been here for the birth of my child. There's nothing I won't share with y'all guys, right? Isn't that something? Can't give up a room just for a baby. Well, the thing is that the room that my daughter is in now, that will be the baby's room. And then she'll be taking over this room because it's a little bit bigger. And then I'll be moving into the other office, which is a lot bigger, but it's basically that currently is like her playroom, which will no longer be that. So there's gonna be it's gonna be a stacked house. It's gonna be a stacked house. And that's it. We're done. Okay? We got it out of the way. We got our 2. We're done. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. You never know. So pray for us if you're a praying people. If not, send us some good vibes, okay? And shout out to my friends who just also had a child last night. So shout out to them. You guys know who you are. Lots of babies popping out these days. There have been a lot of growth over the last 10 years. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how much you get done in 10 years, actually. That's also pretty crazy how much has gotten done in 10 years. You'd never expect all of this stuff to be getting done in 10 years, but 10 years is a long time. Pretty crazy. Am I getting clipped? No, I'm not getting clipped, but we're done. There's no more. There will be no more. There will be no more. We'll be happy with 2. I think 3 kids. Huh? No, I'm too scared. I'm too scared to get clipped. That scares me. I think 2 kids is in a modern American family, 2 kids is like, I think the limit. I mean, 3 kids, you can do 3 kids, but that's really tough. If you have 3 kids, you probably would attest to that. Anything more than 3 is crazy. That's tough. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. Now, if you do it where like you have 1 kid, maybe you have 3 kids, and then like 10 years, 12 years later, you have another kid and another kid, I can kind of see that. But I mean, people with like 7, 8, 9 kids, that boggles the mind. That's got to be super tough, but because it's just tough with 1, 2 I think is going to be our limit, just the way that our quality of life and the way that we like things. I think 3 would be a little too much. I think we're both set on 2. I've had it done 3 times, nothing to it. You got clipped 3 times? Why? Don't you only need to get clipped once? I'm too scared, okay? Too scared. I'm too scared. This one should be this one where we don't want any sort of speed bumps. If you guys remember our first birth, Kate's first birth, it was a tough one. All right, so we don't want to deal with any of that stuff. So this one's gonna be smooth sailing, I think. So that's that. That's the good news. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to start. Nothing feels like it's changed dramatically yet, so we're still in the early days of it. We're about 2 months in. So we'll see. We'll see how things go, but so far so good. All right, now the next thing I want to do is one thing I wanted to start doing. Ooh, what happened here? One thing I want to start doing is I want to start taking the best posts from the Facebook group and start going over them, because there's a lot of good posts on the Facebook group I think we've tried this before. I want to start doing it again. So if you have any questions about mixing, or you have any ideas or any recipes or anything, any sort of content that you want to post, go on the Facebook group and post it, because you'll probably get it featured here if it's good and if people are talking about it. So that's something I want to start doing again, because it's a great way for me to kind of answer questions or to dig into topics that are happening in the community. So let's go over some of this. We'll probably call this some sort of segment. Here's the first thing I want to go over. Okay, this was crazy. So someone posted, Andrew posted, happened to be scrolling YouTube and this pops up. The thumbnail is what caught my eye. Inside a vape factory, okay? So you go to this video.
Goes inside your vape. Today we're visiting a nicotine vaporizer company right here in Baoan, Shenzhen, China. And
so it goes through this company. We're not going to watch the whole video here. And he goes through like how they like manufacture these products.
Actually, 80% of the world's vapes are manufactured right here in this district.
So this is one of the big ones. This is one of the big ones. They're probably manufacturing the ones that you know that are on the market.
Stick around. Thank you.
So he goes through, I don't want to go over the whole video, but he goes through and you can kind of see how these are put together.
The vape.
You can see like the processes that they use to like put these things together, which is pretty cool.
So a very simple mechanism.
You can see that the technology is rather primitive. It's still pretty much using technology that we know.
Rest of the assembly. So the charge.
It's basically a heating element encased in like a foam or a cotton that is just, they just drench it with juice.
And a test that's applying pressure at the bottom, right? Which is equivalent to suction from the top, right?
So then they get to the point where they're like, okay, now they need to do a mouth test. Looks like Daniel.
So this step kind of blows my mind. Our friend here is testing each one of them. I'm not sure if it's for taste or volume or I'm not sure precisely what. I'm also curious if he is inhaling or if it's like a cigar, just.
一天大概要测平均7、8千吧。
7、8千，多的时候呢？
多的时候就1万多。
你自己平时抽吗？那你下班之后还抽吗？
下班之后。
So he literally tests the devices at these factories. That is crazy. That's crazy. I mean, 10,000 tests a day, he says. Up to 10,000 a day. That is insane. So I heard about them doing this. Like there was posts a while back, like viral posts, like they're testing, they're vaping, they're putting their mouths on your devices. And I was like, nah, there's no way. They probably do that. Maybe they do like small batches. So like an order of like 5,000, maybe you'll test one just to see, right, how that batch is going or something like that. But there's no way that they're testing all of them by mouth. That doesn't actually seem to be the case. It seems like they are testing a majority of these by mouth. Now, that is just, so like the sanitary part is like, I'm imagining, let's just see. Do they go through like a sanitizer through, afterwards? Are they not being sold? I can understand why you would want I can understand why you would want a human to do that, because there's a human subjectivity to like how well something vapes, right? Like a machine, I'm sure you can make a machine that knows like all of the parameters that that a human would want. So you just have a human test it, and then you just record all those parameters, and then you have a machine that can test that, like the restriction airflow, how much vapor actually goes in there, if there's like a certain acidity to the vape, or if there's like a certain off note to the vape. I'm sure you can test for that. Like, I'm sure there's a way to make a machine that does that. But in China, man, you just get a person to do it. It's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. So, doesn't show you the final process. Yeah, I mean, sanitary reasons alone, that I'm not so worried about, because you can just sanitize it, before you pack it away, and it's whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's other products that people, put their fucking dirty hands on, or their fucking feet, or their sweat or whatever, and it gets on your stuff. It's whatever. That doesn't bother me too much. What more so bothers me is that they need a person to do that. I mean, you don't want to be doing that all day. You do not want to be doing that all day. There's just no need for that. It's unnecessary to do that. I'm also like, how much do you pay someone to do that? How much would you need to be paid to be a manual vape pod tester, vape disposable tester? That's crazy. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. The comments are so funny too. It's wild they pay someone to chain vape all day. Yeah, I know. It's so unnecessary. And also, again, you don't need to test every single device. You can just test like one out of a lot, just to kind of get a good understanding of how that batch was put together. Sure, you might miss a few here and there, but the amount that you miss has got to be lower than the amount you have to pay someone and their insurance to vape all day, to vape every single product. What's also crazy is that, isn't vaping illegal in China? Wouldn't that technically be illegal? Let's see here. I'm pretty sure you can't, maybe you just can't sell it. I remember it being like in China, you couldn't purchase or sell Chinese manufactured products, but you could purchase and sell imported vapor products, because they didn't want you to compete with the Chinese tobacco lobby there. I'm pretty sure that was the rule. So maybe the legality wise, I don't know, maybe it's like a gray area, but yeah. The owner said it's 1/5 cost of a US factory. Oh yeah, any sort of manufacturing in China, it's really tough. Like, if you guys remember like the whole cloning phase of vaping, you just can't compete, man. It's not only can you not compete on price, which is the main factor of manufacturing, but they're faster. They're so much faster, and a lot of the times they're going to be a lot higher precision. Like, their manufacturing quality standards are really high. They're really good in China. And this was the thing that I was trying to explain to people back in the day when there was this whole like fuck clones movement. It's like, listen, you can say that all you want, and you can pretend as if Chinese manufacturing is somehow worse than US manufacturing. In a grand scale, it's not as, it might not be, right? It might, the US like small batch manufacturing might be of higher quality, but it's going to be at such a marginal difference that most people aren't going to care. Like, the difference between what someone in China has versus what something in America can make, it's such a marginal difference, and they can pump them out at 1/5 of the cost and thousands more than you, and they can just flood you out. And it's just, it happened to everyone. You really need to have a strong community in order to kind of face China, where people are like, nah, I don't want the Chinese version, because for whatever reason, for more of like culture reasons, but and just support reasons. Like, you want to support a company who made a cool design, right? They made a cool mod or a cool RDA, and you want to support them. You don't want to just buy the device. But a lot of people did, and a lot of people will continue to do that. They don't give a fuck about supporting any company. And the other side of it, especially in like the high end market with like RDAs, you just couldn't get them. Like you had to be on some list and do some wacky shit. And a lot of the times flippers would just buy them all out anyway. And you would have to buy them at a markup from a flipper at, 10x the price. Or you could just go to 3F Vape and get it for $3. And it's going to come to you next day. And it's going to be like 99%. And anyone that's going to say, no, man, it's more like 70 or 60%, they're lying to you. These clones were sometimes better than the original, okay? The margin of difference between the two was just so negligible, it didn't really matter. So like the whole fuck clones movement, to me, that's why Cyclone, it made sense for Cyclone to just go, we'll just make the designs, we'll take most of the profit, but we'll manufacture it in China because they can just do it better and faster. And we don't really have to worry too much about people buying them from clones because we're going to be at a more competitive price, right? So for like Cyclone, like one of their products might be like, how much were the Cyclone RDAs? Were they like $80, $70? As opposed to like something in the other, like, you could spend like $175, $200 on a high-end RDA or something like that. So you're just closer in that price. It's easier to justify like, oh, I'll just support from the original. Plus they had them in stock, which was the big thing too. A lot of the high-end devices and high-end RDAs, you couldn't get, they just were never in stock. You always had to get them secondhand. And as someone that never really messed around in that world, there's some of you guys that I'm sure did. I know a lot of people in the group did. They're on all the lists. They have all the coolest devices. And they know like the ins and outs and how to get them, and they spend lots of money on these devices. There is that part of it that was really cool, and I don't know how vibrant that community is today. I can't imagine it's very big now, but maybe it's big enough to sustain. Does anyone know? Has anyone purchased like a high-end device recently? My Hadley's a clone and it's great. Yeah, I mean, it's probably, to be honest, probably from the same exact factory that they made the Hadley. It was $15, yeah. So that's pretty crazy. I had no idea that they were going to be testing them by mouth. That's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. Hopefully they figure out a way to not have someone do that. You don't need that, man. You don't need that. Disposables are just destroying our world. All right, what else do we got here? All right, here's something I want to bring up. John Evamac. Today, I have only been adding Nick to flavored juice. I found that when combining Nick with the little whisker attached to an old bottle cap and drill, it ended up giving better flavor and even Nick hit than just by shaking the bottle. If I go to mixing my own flavors, is it worth getting an electronic mixer stir with heating, or is that overboard? Would love to hear your thoughts. Also, 100 milliliters of juice. I had 10 milliliters freebase or 12 milliliters. I'm assuming he means milligrams of salt. So he's using this little shindig here to whisk up his e-liquid. And he's asking if something like this is overboard. This is definitely overboard. If you have the space and the money and you can get this is the most optimal way to homogenize a product. There's just no doubt about it. You have to be careful. So if you guys remember that, what was that device called that guy made and I was supposed to get one and I never did? It was like it's basically like a little vortex. What was it called? Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? It was like a little vortexer that it was attached to like a Dremel or something. But something like that is the most ideal, where you're essentially homogenizing your mix without introducing any air. And I'm pretty sure that's what that did, if I'm not mistaken. It homogenized things without having to introduce any air into the mixture. Yeah, the Game Changer. That's right, the Game Changer. Yeah, let me see if I can find a picture of it. The Game Changer. So this is the thing here, I think. Is there a way I can just see like the design of it? Yeah, something like this is going to be expensive. So you can see here, it's homogenizing the mix. You're seeing these little bubbles, and I'm thinking that's essentially friction, like air friction that's happening there. So it's homogenizing at such a rapid level that there is air kind of created. There are pockets of like air, but they're not pockets of like oxygenated air. They're just little pieces of like small pockets of air that's happening through the homogenizing process. But essentially, it homogenizes it without introducing oxygen, okay? Without introducing the external air. So that's the most ideal scenario. And you can do this heated as well if you'd like. And we should talk about kind of, heat distribution and how that affects things. Now, why would that be better than something that just whisks something really fast? Because when you introduce oxygen, you are essentially letting those aromas out. You're letting those aromas that are trapped within that mixture, that solution, you're letting them out. And that is essentially degrading your product, right? And the same with the additive that's added in there. Adding that oxygen in there is only going to further rapidly age that additive. It's kind of tough to speak in these types of terms, but we had to do it this way. Now, that might not always be a bad thing. So there are scenarios and there are solutions, there are recipes that benefit from that extra letting loose and, letting those volatiles out. Some recipes will benefit from that and taste better because of that rather than just sitting there aging. It really is like a very specific flavor sort of thing. It was more so a recipe thing, right? You can account for that and ensure that doesn't happen, but that's a little bit more specific and advanced. So something like this, right? When you have something like this whisker, you're going to be introducing air into your mixture. Now, the amount of air that you're adding, because this is something that I used to do, everyone used to do this, right? There used to be, this essentially that's what shaking is also. It's not just like mixing you're not just mixing the solution, you're folding in that air as you're shaking, right? You're folding in that oxygenation. That's why those bubbles are popping out. It's not just air, or not just, the mixing of the solution. That air is getting folded in there. Now it's not going to be as rapid as something like a stir or some sort of like mixing apparatus, but that air is kind of working its way in there, and that's probably like, to me it's good enough. The difference between using these devices is like kind of minimal for the most part. Sometimes it does make a difference. What does make the biggest difference, and you'll notice this, is like heat. So if you're going to add a heating plate and you're going to mix on that, you will notice a big difference in that versus just shaking it, right? So if you have like an actual hot plate with your solution on top and like an actual homogenizer, you're going to get a really good pre-steeped product. It's still going to need time to kind of fully age. I don't know why that is. I've asked people, like smarter people than me, why that is, and no one really understands why. It could be like a multitude of different reasons, the oxygenation plus the aromas like settling into place and creating different aromas, the different sort of friction rates between these molecules. Like there's a lot of wacky stuff that goes on that might cause that. Plus like certain aromas just they just change over time, and no amount of like friction is going to add that. So we do our best to try to speed that process up by whether it's like steeping it in a dark place or that's heating it up and shaking it violently. There's certain things you can do to try to speed that up, but at the end of the day, nothing really replaces time for some flavors and some recipes. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I haven't heard of anyone being like, I haven't seen it, right? And this is why I think my views on steeping are a lot different from someone else's, right? To me, steeping should be seen as something that only creates a better product, and it doesn't actually create the product itself. You can get pretty damn close to a finished product just from mixing. And then that steeping is going to push it that next 10, 15% over the line, right? Now, is this in all cases, in every single scenario? I don't think so. Like, there are certain flavor, like, obviously, like premium custard is, like, probably the best example. Flavor our premium custard. It has to sit. Like, it just has to sit. It just has to sit. I've added heat to it. I've sheared it. I've done so many different things to it. It just needs to sit for a couple days. Does it need to sit for 10 weeks like some people say? No. I think it needs to sit for a couple days, and you're going to see that big difference in there. And again, no amount of like using a whisker is going to change that. You're just going to have to let that sit. The best thing to do is just, if you know something needs to steep, then just keep things, mix things in advance so you're never without, basically. You always have the most optimal product. Yeah, the guy who created the Game Changer, yeah, it wasn't, he did get sick, I believe, right? Wasn't that a product? I don't know if he passed, but I do remember him getting sick, which is why he stopped making it. He stopped doing this thing. It's a pretty ingenious device. I've tried looking up products like it. If anyone wants to sell me one, let me know. I'll probably buy it from you. Or if anyone wants me to, if anyone will allow me to borrow theirs, I would love to try it out. I never got to get one. It was just never happened. Someone was trying to reverse engineer it. Yeah, I've never seen anything that was similar to that. Because most homogenizers aren't like that. Yeah, I don't know if I can show. Yeah, it's kind of tough. Most homogenizers aren't like that. They're a little bit different. All right. So here Luke Loop says, anything that adds air is bad in my opinion. This is a very old and debated question. Basically, the answer is shake and wait, or if you can afford a homogenizer, go for it. But basically, just shake and wait works. Also, DIY, if it works for you, then and you like it, do it. Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree. I think anything that adds air is going to alter what's going on. Like that, adding oxygen is degrading of the product. Like you're actually degrading the product. Now, if you think of it in like a negative sense, that's not how you should think of it. It's just like, that's just the process of what oxygenation does to an e-liquid, right? So like speaking like very scientifically, you don't want to add air to these products. You want to be able to figure out a way to homogenize them, which is make turn all of the different solutions and all of the different things that are in the e-liquid, create it into one solution. That's what a homogenization does. It disperses it evenly throughout, so it's one solution. And because these are all water-soluble products, we can do that, right? We can actually homogenize this product because they are all water-soluble for the most part. And that is always going to be the best ways to do it without adding any heat or any oxygen, and then just letting it sit. But like I said, adding air sometimes, adding that violent homogenization or that violent whisking of that product and adding that air might get you to a place that's closer to what you expect that to be. So sometimes it works and it's in your favor. Okay. Here's another one. Looking for some advice with a percentage. This is from Kieran. The recommended percentage for my concentrate is 5 to 15. And to steep for 5 days. I steeped for a week and then tested, and the taste is there, but not strong. I used 15%. Roughly how much of a percentage can I add until it starts getting stupid? Many thanks. Let's see if he adds a flavor profile here. All the details are in the comments. Oh God, here we go. I added a tiny bit of super sweet. Don't have a recipe with me. It's at work. Just want to see what flavorings he's using. is vapable by concentrate is by vapable Tutti Frutti, so probably not as good as Cap or TPA for just example. Okay, so yeah, so this is something that some people might need to understand. So there is a reason why in DIY and on this channel and on ELR and on all the flavors and the Facebook group, there's a reason why we use the ingredients we use, okay? And I think this is important because a lot of people will ask me like, hey, I'm from India, I only have access to these ingredients, are they okay? Or I'm from Malaysia and I only have access to these ingredients. Look, there's a reason we use the ingredients we do. There's a reason we do that. We've tested them. We've all been through the ringer with them. We can attest to their quality, to their potency, to how they react in this environment. And that's why we use the flavorings that we do, like TFA, Capella, Flavor Art, Flavora, yada, yada, yada. There's a reason why these are flavoring companies that we use. So when you kind of go outside of that and you go for things that you're not really sure of, like something like that. I don't know what this is. I've never heard of this. If anyone knows what this is, I would imagine it's just a mixture of said ingredients. Oh, wait, I can't show that. Oh, fuck. Let me look off screen. Yeah, I would imagine that they're using the same ingredients that we're using in terms of like the same flavor houses. They're just kind of like a one shot. That's what it looks like, but I could be wrong. This is the second part. Another reason why we use the ingredients we use is because we know the concentration levels of them. We can say this flavoring, TPA Tutti Frutti, whatever, is at 5% is going to give you a satisfactory experience. And that's why I'm putting it in this recipe and I'm sharing it with you because I've tested it. I know I can attest to this level of flavor and this level of quality. There's a subjectivity to it. Someone that vapes it at 1% might taste different than someone that vapes it at 10%. It is what it is, but there is that level of like, we just have that baseline understanding in that area of these ingredients. So when you go and you do something like this, and even if it says like the range is from 5 to 15%, that's a pretty big range, and that should be a red flag to you saying like, nah, maybe this product's kind of bullshit. If there's a suggested range that large, then that means that you're not gonna get the best quality out of it. In my opinion, they should just say 1%. This is this kind of like a relic of the past. This might even just be a flavoring, this Tutti Frutti. But it's kind of a relic of the past to give like flavor ranges, like percentage ranges. In my opinion, they should just say, look, this is best tasted at this percentage, so mix it up at this percentage. I can see why people don't want to do that, but you know, that's my thoughts on that. But that's why we kind of stick to the ingredients that we use, and you're not seeing everyone just post random flavorings all the time. And you know, we have this sort of like this skeleton that we can all kind of, this reference rather, that we can all kind of refer back to and understand and know. And in our heads, you know, we can say like, okay, his recipe uses this, this, and this. I've used these before. I've seen these before. I know this flavoring company, so I understand that this product is going to have a level of quality to it that I can kind of trust or kind of can expect. So when you're going out and you're a new mixer and you're going out and you're getting ingredients for the first time, stick to that stuff. Now, my one shots are a bit of an exception to that because in terms of like, you know, you could pick up my one shots and expect that quality because not only do I use the same ingredients. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm sneezing. Uh-oh. What's going on here? We're frozen. So with my one shots, not only can you expect a level of quality, but I'm using the same ingredients and I'm giving you the exact recipe percentage, right? So it's exactly as if I were to give you all of the ingredients individually and to tell you to mix them up at a specific ingredient. It's not a range. I'm not just saying here you can mix it at any of these ranges. You can if you wanted to, but that's the difference, is that my products have a very specific, exact best case use scenario. So that's why I'm saying when you're making your first orders, stick to what we're all using, okay? Don't try to go too far out of the box and get things that we're not using, because we're not gonna be able to there's no reference there. We can't really help. I can't help you with Vapeable Tutti Frutti. I have no idea. No fucking idea what that is, where that comes from. I don't know what they're using. Now, if it said Vapeable Tutti Frutti and it's using, Capella this and TFA that, then I can say, okay, this is kind of what you want to be doing with it to get the best flavor out of it. But because we don't have that information, you're just kind of boned at that point. So it's very important, if you are someone that's jumping into this and you're getting ingredients, watch like my, what ingredients to get videos, look at what the community's using, find popular recipes and get the ingredients that popular recipes are utilizing. That is the best way. That's always good. Because there's a reference there. We know what you are tasting for the most part, right? There's a level of quality that we can all expect from that. When you do something like this, it's tough. We just don't know. So did you waste money? I don't know. I mean, maybe you can salvage it, mix it up at 25%, add up 2% super sweet, see how it goes. I don't know. I can't really attest to it. I've never tried it. I don't know what they're using, and it just is what it is. That goes for anyone that asks me, hey, can I use, Ishmael's strawberry at, in this recipe? I don't know. There's no level of quality, no level of reference there that I can attest to. I just have no fucking idea. And not only that, but no one does. Most of us don't. Most of us in the community don't. We are using a certain set of ingredients that we all agreed. We all have a contract with each other. We're all going to use a certain set of ingredients, and it's a silent contract that we all kind of partake with each other. Hey, shake hands with me. Yes, we're shaking hands on this contract. I have a reference to what your level of quality is because you're using the same ingredients at around the same percentages and mixing around in the same ways that I am. So I know that when you make this recipe that I give you, you're going to have a certain level of quality that I expect, and the same for you. And that's what's really cool about DIY, and that's why it works the way that it does. We can all reference each other. There's a level of objectivity to it. We're taking a lot of the subjectivity out. Sure, you might taste my recipe that I give you differently, but I know that this is exactly how I taste it and exactly how it should be tasted. Now, whether you enjoy it or not, that's a different question, but that's not what we're asking here. What we're more attesting to is the level of what we're expecting from the flavor. Hopefully that makes sense. I always thought ranges were to account for the type of device, mouth to length. I mean, possibly, but I just don't think that big of a range for one ingredient. It just doesn't make much sense to me. It just seems like I mean, maybe that's an excuse that they give. I'm not sure. And the other thing is too, is like, yeah, again, that's kind of a relic of the past because it's not really individual flavor percentages that matter, at least from like RDA to pod or disposable, like that level of device. Maybe it's different from mouth to lung and something like a K-Fun or something like that. Like that, the differences there might be a little bit more tangible because those devices are really good at what they do. But when you're mixing from RDA and then you're going to like disposable pod, the individual flavoring percentages doesn't really make a difference. It's more so overall percentage. So you want an overall heightened level of concentration of flavor. It's not so much like use it up a little bit higher. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. It should just be like, this is the best percentage for this flavor's potency level and concentration. And then if you use that in a recipe, you're going to use it at that percentage. And then if you wanted to use that recipe in a pod, but then you would take that recipe and then just increase the entire flavoring percentage. Thanks to your videos, I have about 70 bottles of flavors and 5 liters to VGPG, so I will survive this ban and OS for the next 2 years at least. Yeah, man, it sucks for all the vape shop. Yeah, it's here. Let's talk about that right now. I wanted to bring that up. Okay, so, and then we'll get mixing after this. I spoke to Pippa. So listen, guys, if you're in Australia, and send this to all your Australian friends, okay? Give me a second here. Let me bring this up. What the fuck? Okay, so if you're in Australia, just know, again, I've said this before, but just know that, how do I say this? That what you should do, does not equal what you could do, okay? In terms of DIY, what you should do does not equal what you could do. Okay? I want to make that clear. What you should do does not equal what you could do. Okay? If you are someone that relies on vapor products to stay away from smoking and to just enjoy life, right? You rely on them. You should be doing what you could do. Okay? You should be doing what you could do in order to keep it that way. And I'm going to do my hardest to give you all of the advice that I can give you to explain to you what you could possibly do. Not what you should do, but what you could possibly do. Does that make sense? Is anyone lost there by what I'm saying? Because I can try to rephrase it. Well, I'm trying to be kind of careful here in my language because I don't want people to get the wrong interpretation. And but there's a difference in what you should do and what you could do. And I want to give you all of the different examples of what you could do. Not telling you should do them, but telling you that you could do them. Okay? Now in Australia, again, you're kind of in a situation where, what do you do? Do you do what you should do, or do you do what you want to know what you could do, right? Like there's it's tricky. So Pippa messaged me. So I've gotten just to let everyone know, I've gotten a lot of different conflicting things on this. I've had people tell me that honestly, man, it's not that different than what it was as a DIYer, and I can still get what I need to get. That's what I've heard, okay, from multiple different people, and that is not very difficult, and that their shipments aren't seized, and that they're having no issues, and that in the future they're planning on getting a prescription to better even facilitate what they're doing, and that they're kind of hopeful for the future. You know, it's not the best situation for shops and whatever in the industry at a whole in Australia, but that's not their problem anymore. Their problem is, can I get the product that I need for me and my family, right? Which is always my goal for you guys in DIY. I don't necessarily care so much about the industry as a whole and the movement of vaping. I just care about you guys and like, can you get what you need to get? And we're a very selfish group in DIY, and that's why we do it. And that's okay. And I think more people need to think this way, because the industry wouldn't be where it's at today if obviously if DIY wasn't here. Yes, YouTube will censor you if you use the N-word. I'm letting you guys know. I forgot to tell you guys that. YouTube will censor you if you use the N-word. Use additive instead. So Pippa says you can buy, you can obtain unflavored e-liquid if you have a doctor's prescription and buy from a chemist, and that includes if it has additive in it or not. That is until October 1st. Then you can get with a pharmacist's permission from a chemist. The only problem is only around 1 in 20 will participate, i.e. most won't even stock it at all. As for buying flavors online, there is no legal pathway to buy flavors proposed for vaping from anywhere. That extends to any vaping accessory that you can imagine. And I can attest to this because there was a baking company, a couple baking and confectionery companies that had big flavoring shipments seized by the Australian government. And that scared a lot of people in Australia. Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even get, I'm not even in the middle of this vaping industry stuff. And like, I can't even get the flavorings I need to do my company. How Australia is going to handle that? That's crazy. Now, I can understand big shipments, big flavoring shipments, right? Are they going to seize thousands or hundreds or even dozens of little shipments here and there, shipping back and forth? I don't know. That's something that remains to be seen. From what I've been hearing, some people haven't had any issues so far. They're not getting gallons and gallons of, thousands of different flavors. They're just getting small things that they need for themselves, and they haven't had any issues. But yes, technically, the way that the law is written in Australia is that any flavoring that could possibly be used in a vaporizer, it's illegal. You can't get it. But they're banning that. So if you are a candy company or an ice cream company or any company that utilizes flavorings in Australia, fuck you, basically is what the government's saying. And we don't have a plan to help you. Either they stop doing that, they stop the seizement of the shipping, and they just allow flavorings to come in and out, or you just can't have flavors and anything in Australia. Or you just can't have flavorings ever. You guys are just all gonna taste, I don't know, fucking kiwi or whatever you eat down there. I was not using the N-word. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was a different word? What did YouTube say to you? We can still get food flavoring VGPG, but 90% of people are just panicking and losing the fight because they choose to fight. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is like the war on cigarettes. Like, listen, hey man, it is what it is. Like, that's not our fight anymore. We have no more say in that, okay? We have no more say in that. Unfortunately. I'm surprised they're not rioting. Well, I mean, let's go to the Aussie. So this is where I saw it. Let me find the thing. It's pretty wild, and honestly, this type of interaction where shops that, stores and businesses that have nothing to do with vaping are getting caught in the crossfire, that's good. You want that. You want them to join the fight. Say, hey, fuck you, man. This is what I need for my business. Now, unfortunately, it just seems like in Australia, you guys just don't like fighting for stuff, to be honest. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Let me see if I can find it. I don't mean that in a negative way, kind of. But like one of these flavoring companies that just sells flavorings, mind you. They're not for vape, they were just flavorings. They were just like, we give up. We give up, we're done. And they just closed. So, I mean, so if that's going to happen, I mean, Australia's just going to have their way with you. The Australian government's just going to have their way with you. If there's no conjoint effort to stop this, if there's no, actual movement of people to kind of come together and all meet up and, fight for the rights of flavor, then they're just gonna, you're just gonna get fucked. It obviously seems as if the Australian government doesn't care about shutting down regular flavoring companies. That just kind of seems what it is. Now, there are a couple that I've seen that are still doing stuff, so I'm gonna I should probably make a post on that. I said this before. I should probably make a post on that on my website about getting that stuff. So if you're Australian, just stay tuned, okay? Don't worry. I'm trying to help you guys out. I'm not forgetting about you guys. I'm keeping you guys updated. The way that this is probably going to work is you're probably going to get your flavorings online and risk seizing of shipments, and you're gonna have to get a prescription for unflavored product. That's probably how that's gonna work, and then you're gonna mix it together and enjoy. Now for the hardware, again, you're gonna probably have to get that in a different way, but that is not my. I don't know about that. That's not. Other Australian vapors can help you with that. I said they should take out the pollen. It's so frustrating that this can even happen. Yeah, it is. It sucks. It sucks. The biggest black pill for me and for government is that there's just no accountability. Like, there's just no accountability. Like a politician can come out today and just say, fuck all of you, fuck all my constituents. I don't give a fuck about them. But if they have the same views as them, then they're still gonna vote for them. There's just no. It's just so stupid. We live in such a stupid political discourse. And I don't know if it's ever gonna get better. I can't imagine it ever getting better. There have been reasonable voices that have come up and have just been immediately squashed. And that goes for all countries. That goes for Australia, Canada, the UK. The UK's been pretty okay. I mean, a lot of the stuff I see in politics, what goes on in the UK is not terrible. Maybe it's the structure of your government and the kind of the way that you do things there. Maybe it's the size. Maybe it's the demographic of people that live there. But there does seem to be a little bit more common sense in the UK than elsewhere. And then in other countries, you just have a dictator, basically. In other countries, you're just run by dictators. So you're just fucked in that way. It's tricky. It's tricky, man. Imagine having to deal with customs to prove what your flavorings are for. Yeah. I promise. I only use them in candy. Oh, yeah? What is this like that you made on this Facebook post of a kid vaping? Oh, no. I've been outed. It's so goofy. It's so goofy. But good. I hope more flavoring companies in Australia get pinged up. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I hope all your candy companies, all your ice cream companies, I hope they all get jammed up. And I hope none of you guys have flavors in Australia for a little bit until you guys sort that out, and then you guys can just get and then the government's like, oh wait, maybe we went a little bit too crazy. You guys can buy flavorings now, because then we're back on track. And I know that and people were saying like, pharmacists or chemists are going to be reluctant to giving prescriptions and yada yada. If there's a market there to make money doing that, then it will happen. I think at least that happens in the US. I don't know how capitalistic Australia is, but I would imagine if there's a way to make money doing that, they're going to do it. And if you can legally purchase your additive, that's 90% of the battle. The rest of the battle is just scrounging up the resources to make what you want to make, and that's not really that difficult. It's the additive that's the tricky part. And what's so funny, and I would have never expected this, but that seems to be the easiest part in the in every country. It's getting the additive. It's getting what you need. So it's like in the US, in Canada, in UK, in Germany, in Thailand, in Malaysia, in South Africa, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Japan, maybe not in Japan actually. I think Japan is actually kind of tricky. But getting the additive is actually the easiest part. It's getting all the other stuff that's tricky. Go figure, huh? All right, let's mix. What should we make today? I think that's all I had on the agenda, right? Talked about Australia. We talked about the last thing on Australia. Just remember, if there's anything you take away, I am on your team. I am working and I will be helping you. I want to help you guys out. I'm on your team, okay? I'm going to try to let you guys know what you need to get to allow to continue getting the vapor products that you need, okay? I'm on your team. I'm helping you out, okay? Don't ever forget that. I will risk being banned from Australia forever to helping you guys out. Fiddy, I really dig the ultimate blue raspberry. Is that a flavoring or is that a recipe? Wait, you're talking about flavor jungle? There's an ultimate blue raz? No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Is it not out yet? Oh yeah, everyone everyone send some love to Linda's way. Sorry about that, Linda. It's gotta be tough. All right, what should we make? What should we make, guys? It is, I have it. I don't see it on the website. Is it called something else? Oh, I do see it. Oh, it's right on the front page. Oh, it's in a sample pack? Oh, I see it here. Ooh. Okay, we gotta try. I gotta get this in. I gotta get this in. How is it compared to Flavora? To anyone that's tried it. Oh, it sucks that I really want to be able to show this stuff. It's so stupid. It's just flavorings. I gotta be careful though. Couple more months and then we can get back to normal. I love the channel and the community, man. Get ready to start doing my own liquid now. After 10 years of smoking, I finally quit and been vaping for the last 5 months. Congrats, bro, Sif. I'm glad you've joined us and you know you get yourself some good tasting tobacco cessation products. All right, let's make something. Flavor West Blue Raz? I really like Flora. All right. What should we make? What should we make? Should we make an iced coffee? Didn't we say we were going to make something? Oh, there was another thing I wanted to talk about. Fuck. Maybe we'll talk about it as I mix. Let's make something easy. Let's not go too crazy today. You guys have any ideas what we should make? What about a pink starburst? Blue Raz iced tea? I could do that. I could do a Blue Raz iced tea. Iced nitro with caramel swirl. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of an iced coffee. That would be kind of fun. I see a couple of people want blue raz. Blue raz cream soda. Blue raz cream soda? That's kind of interesting. Blue raz cream soda. Lurkers say iced coffee. All right. Press 1 for blue raz. Press 2 for coffee. 1 for blue raz. 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 2 for coffee. I'll let you guys decide. Oh my god! Oh my god! The twos! Blue raz cream soda is Nevin's line. Oh yeah! I remember that one. I remember that one. Where is that? I like both. Let's do both. It looks like you guys want some iced coffee. Okay, we could do iced coffee. We could try. As much as I hate coffees, we could try it. All right. Looks like you guys want iced coffee. Okay. We could do blue raz next week. If you want. All right. Iced coffee. This is going to be fun. Blue raz iced coffee. That's like a chocolate watermelon situation. Blue raz iced coffee. All right. How are we going to do this? Well, all right. Let's go. First thing we need. What is the coffee ingredient? I don't want a black, dark coffee, Brazilian, Wonder Flavors Brazilian. Nothing like that. It's got to be caramely. It's got to be super fucking sweet. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Per caramel coffee? Let me see. I'm pretty sure I have that. Pretty sure. All right. All right. No, my fucking carpet is getting stuck. All right, I have coffee with sweet milk and caramel by Perlum. Yeah, this tastes like it. That seems like what we're gonna need. That seems like what we're gonna need. What percentage would I mix this at? Does anyone know? What percentage would I mix this at? We need our ice. Get our ice out. I want some vanilla froth. I think some vanilla froth. %, okay. You know what? I have this sugary cereal. I kind of think it might go good in here. I mean, it would go good, but it probably wouldn't be the right move. Some vanilla froth. This is Capella's vanilla milk froth. So let's do coffee with milk. Yeah, 5%. Vanilla milk. 1% of that. What if we did some dairy? I kind of want like a sweet caramel in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of custard too. Like a 0.5% of that. That's gonna thicken that up a little bit. But I also kind of want like a sweet caramel note in there a little bit. I mean, what if we go butterscotch ripple? No. It's not quite right. What if we go salted caramel, actually? No, we don't know yet. Apathy. You should know soon, though. Any day now. I'm thinking we go caramel candy. Yeah, I was thinking about condensed milk too. I'm actually thinking about RY4. So I have the Tab blended by Hankson that we did in the cream soda. I'm not sure it's gonna work in this situation though. To me, that's much more suited for soda. All right, I think we should try this. Let's try this to see where we're at. We need some WS. Let's do 0.5% in the start. I kind of want to see how much coffee is in this. Here's our recipe. Let's mix this up. Oh, I need to do something real quick. Okay. I'm gonna do 5% of caramel coffee. Is there a site where you can buy full flavor lines from each company? Yeah, I would contact the company if you live in the US. Some milk froth. Some dairy. That might not be enough dairy. You might want to go 2% on that. Custard. Some caramel candy. Some WS. Some super sweet. Yeah, I mean, if you were to go to like a flavoring house, like a Bull City, you could. I mean, you could get all the lines. But that would just be a massive shipment. And I'm sure like the flavoring companies have some sort of deal where you can get the whole line for a discount or something. All right, I forgot to talk about this, but we'll bring it up while we're mixing. What are some popular clones you think we should do? So I'm going to be doing a segment called Cloning the Classics. So obviously unicorn milk is going to be one. Recipes like that. Don't mention Serial Killer. That was a whole thing we already did. Don't mention that. Trust me, we already did that one. But any of the other like quote unquote classics that you'd like to see cloned? Smells good. We gotta get rid of these fucking bottles ASAP. Taruto? Was that the custard? Boba's Bounty? Yeah, that should probably be one, yep. Brute by Fabergé? I don't know what that is. Never heard of that. Is that a song? Pretty good. Off the hand. Let's give it a taste. Gotta change our battery. My doggy's sleeping. Butterscotch Reserve. I would consider that something, yeah. For sure. We could do that one. That's a good idea. I'm surprised you like Taruto that much, Linda. I didn't really like that recipe. Honestly, this is pretty good off the bat. Like, it tastes like iced coffee. Like a good iced coffee. Like this. It tastes like this. I'm not kidding. It's like pretty fucking good already. It's a cheap ass cologne. How's she feeling? She feels good. She was not a lot more nauseous this time around than with Isla. But yeah, she's over 2 months now. I was gonna tell you guys last week, but she hadn't been to the doctor yet. Guys, I'm gonna be honest. This is already pretty good. This is already pretty good. Portuguese egg tart. Okay. Yeah. That one I know is all flavor art. I know that for a fact. Pitch it to Starbucks? Hey, yo, Starbucks, Mr. Starbucks. I got an idea for you. Imagine if Starbucks come out with an e-liquid line. We would win vaping. Vaping would win. Starbucks never loses. I don't care what anyone says. There's another one, Yami, that I like bet more than Taruto. I wasn't the biggest fan of Taruto. I just didn't really, it wasn't terrible, but I didn't see the big deal in it. Personally. I want to see the whole line. There's a way we can see the whole line. Alright, I'll put my fucking birth date in, okay? God damn it. No, I don't remember. Yeah, Teruto was like a custard, in my opinion. It's kind of just like a custard. I'm 25, I have a 3-year-old and almost a 1-year-old. No greater feeling than being called dad. That's true. That is true. My buddy just had a kid last night. And I was like, wait till they say, you know, oh, this is my dad. It really is cool. The first time that happens. You're like, oh yeah, I am your dad. Like you're a thing at that point. You're actually a tangible thing in her mind or their mind. I have 4. I'm fucked. J-Bits. Thanks, brother. I go to work for a break. I have 4. I'm fucked. That's a lot, man. I can imagine, buddy. That's a lot. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like, I can imagine having like 2 and then waiting until those are like a lot older and then having 2 more. I can understand that. Having like every 2 years or 3 years apart having one, that's gotta be tough. Okay, I think we're good on this. I'm not kidding. I don't know what I could do to make this better. I mean, maybe we can make it a bit more milky. We can make this one a little bit more milky. We'll do one more batch. This is how easy it is. Any new mixer that's watching, it's this easy. You find a good ingredient, you build around it. In this case, coffee caramel with sweet milk by Perillum is a good ingredient. 5%. You build around it, you're done. You have a good, new, unique flavor that you can enjoy for a weekend. And then you mix another week. You know, you come on live mixing with me. You know, you mix with me. You make something else that's new. You have a new flavor for the weekend. You know, like that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. How cool is it to just have like, oh, this is my iced coffee recipe. Anytime I want an iced coffee, I mix this up. Like, it's so fun to do it that way, rather than to be like, oh, my vape shop is closed. I can't get my thing anymore, and I have to get this thing, but my shop is closed, and the recipe that the juice that I like that closed down. Oh, what am I gonna do? Don't worry about it. Come hang out with us. We'll just make it, and it'll be better. We'll be better. Let's tweak this. I want a little bit more dairy. I'm gonna go 1. Yeah, let's just go 2%. And then someone said whipped cream. That's not a bad. I'm gonna go FA whipped cream. Yeah, 1 1/4. You want the TFA dairy to anchor the cream? No, let's go 1.5 on the whipped cream. Let's add like a good amount. Let's mix this up. You know what might be good in here? Soho, to be honest. Soho might actually be not bad in here. Well, I want condensed caramel milk. I don't know if I have that. I might, but I've been reluctant to using one-on-one these days just because there's so many. I think the base flavor is pretty good. We just want a little bit more cream and we're good. Vanilla milk froth. Vanilla milk froth, if you haven't gotten it in your repertoire, I suggest you pick it up. It's a very specific ingredient but it really does just, it does its job really good. When you need it, it does its job really good. Like in this case, adding a little bit more of that dairy note, it's like a 2% milk flavor. It's really interesting. A little custard, that's just to thicken things up. A little extra caramel candy. Maybe not the best caramel to add, but it's easy. Everyone's got it. Might as well just use it. Little whipped cream here. Let's give it a little extra froth. This should also smooth the edges a little bit, make it a little bit of like just a more well-rounded, like actual vape. These bottles suck. Oh, I forgot to add this. I wouldn't go any other like menthol or anything like that. I would 100% use WS. That's like what this is made for, is to not add any mintiness. We just want ice, no mint. A little bit of this. I got into DIY at the first of the year because of a lot of juices I have closed up and be prepared if the government goes nuts like in Australia. And man, guys, stay ahead of the curve. We've been ahead of the curve here every step of the way. It's why we've been around for longer than anyone else. Stay ahead of the curve. So it has a nice crispy dark edge. Yeah, I was thinking like Soho might add like a nice sort of like, I don't know. You know how you get like some of that like coffee grit? You might add some of that in there. And without adding like that espresso note. Flavoric caramel, yeah, that could be better in this situation. I was thinking more of like a sweet caramel. Like that's why I was thinking butterscotch, but maybe Flavor Art caramel, but that might kind of get lost. There we go. Yeah, it's better. Just a little bit more milkier, a little bit creamier. I will say the ice is a little bit not quite right. I like the flavor. The flavor is perfect. I think the flavor is spot. It tastes like this. Does it taste like iced coffee? Meh. This tastes more like this. It tastes kind of like this. Like a Starbucks Frappuccino, like one of these things, the caramel one. And then with like a little bit of whipped cream in there. That's kind of more what it tastes like. The flavor's really good. But the ice is kind of interesting. Like I'm wondering if there's a way, I'm not sure. I just don't, that's just how it's gonna have to be, I guess. We're just gonna have to use our imagination on that one. The ice, it seems like it's like on top. It's very interesting where the ice feels like it's like on top of the flavor. Where I'd much rather it be more so on the finish, but it's not. It's like you get iciness up front and then you get a caramel frappuccino finish. And so it's like kind of in the middle too, a little bit. But more so, yeah, it's like the first thing you notice is the ice. And I wonder if there's a way we could fix that. I don't think there is. If we go heavy on the caramel, it might push some of that ice down towards the middle, but then it's just gonna be too caramely, and I don't wanna add any of like that heavy espresso coffee note that's plaguing every coffee in existence. I don't wanna really do that. Maybe the Soho would help. But I really like the flavor. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Just ice on top. Polar Blast is usually XL. Yeah, but there is a little bit of like mintiness that comes with it. I don't know, maybe it would be better. Maybe Polar Blast would be better. Should we try? All right, we could try. We'll try with the Polar Blast. Would I use it at 0.5% or would I go higher? All right, let's do one more mix. Let's try with the Polar Blast. We'll do the same recipe with Polar Blast. See if you guys are right. Oh, I just fucked up. I fucked up. I poured 5% of vanilla milk froth instead. Whoa! Okay, Polar Blast. Oh, let me add the whipped cream. Let's use it. Let's go at 0.5%. You can always add more. If you're ever adding something like that, always start smaller. You can always add more. Starting to like Polar Blast more than WS. Yeah, I use it. I've been using it. If you've been seeing wherever we go ice, I use it a lot more than I use WS for sure. WS has its uses, but The Polar Blast does a good job at what it needs to do. Let's try this out. So we're hoping that the ice sits more in the finish as opposed to like right on top of the flavor. We don't want any mintiness. That's gonna fuck with the recipe. It's gonna kind of make it taste like an Irish cream if there's mintiness. Here we go. It's definitely more on the finish. You guys are right about that. It is a lot weaker though. It is a lot weaker. Let's add 1%. So I'm gonna add another 0.5%. Let's add just another 0.5%. So a total of 1% Polar Blast. It is a lot weaker. But it definitely is on the finish now, for sure. You guys were right. That was a good, smart move. Yeah, that's on the finish. There's a little bit of mintiness that, I mean, we could just have both. We'll just make it both. I'm kind of partial to the flavor of the WS-23 as opposed to this one, but this one vapes the way that I want it to vape. I think I'll keep the Polar Blast as the official, and then we'll say, we'll add it in the notes. So here. Good move, guys. You guys were right about that. Yeah, 1%. Yeah. Similar to a caramel iced coffee from Starbucks, the ice in this version sits on the finish, creating a more cohesive vape. However, it does add a touch of mintiness toward the end that may be sensitive to some. Replacing that with WS-23 at 0.5% will eliminate that. However, move the ice towards the front, creating a slightly more fractured vape. Mintiness, maybe like that. I guess mintiness is not a word. The ideal situation would be WS-23 that sits on the finish. Nate on live mixing. Let's call this iced caramel Starbucker. Iced caramel Starbucks. All right, guys. That's that. That's that, my friends. It's a fun episode, guys. A lot to talk about, a lot to go over. This is what we do every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Come join us. If you have profiles that you want to see me do cloning for cloning the classics, let me know. Listen, guys, join the Facebook group. Engage in the Facebook group. I want that Facebook group popping, okay? Let my Facebook group be the place to go if you're a vapor. I want it popping in there. We're gonna be taking if you want any questions or anything featured on the show, put it in the Facebook group, and like we did this week, well, I'll discuss it on the show. I think bringing back more of like a community focus show is the move, right? It's just more fun that way when we can all engage and share each other's stuff and answer each other's questions. The Facebook group I'll put it in chat, and it'll be in the description of the video if you're watching in the replay. If you're not a member, you have to answer some questions, and then you become a member. It just helps with the bots and the spam. It's a great Facebook group. It's active. Anyone will answer any questions you have. There's been a lot of great friends made in that Facebook group. And I'm not kidding. Like, people, like lifelong friends we've made in that Facebook group. It's a really fun, active community that has been around for a decade now. Okay? So I'm gonna try to bring more attention to it, and that's the hub. That's where we're all gonna meet up and hang out and chat, and feature it on the show and stuff like that. I love you all. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourself. Thank you for all the loves and the wishes, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.